going to talk about arc length in a circle. The circumference of a circle is the total distance around the outer edge. It can be found using the formula c equals 2 pi r or c equals pi times diameter, where r is the radius and d is the diameter. An arc of a circle is the set of points on the circle that lie in the interior of a particular central angle. In simpler terms, an arc is a part of a circle. The ratio of the central angle to 360 is equal to the ratio of the arc length to the circumference. A ratio is a fraction, so if we have two equal fractions, we can set up a proportion. The measure of a central angle has the same measure as the arc, and that fraction out of 360 is equivalent to the length of the arc out of the entire circumference. We don't want to confuse arc length and arc measure. Arc measure is a degree measure, and arc length is a fraction of the circumference, which would be measured in centimeters or inches or feet or miles, whatever the case may be. So we have this proportion that can be used to solve for arc length. This proportion can also be rearranged algebraically to create an additional formula that can be used. If we want to calculate the length of the arc directly, we would take a fraction of the entire circumference. Arc length is equal to fraction of the circumference. If you can think about that, then the math kind of logically follows. Let's try some examples. Find the length of AB. Length, not measure. Length would be in inches. The central angle is indicated as a right angle, so I know it's 90 degrees. That makes the measure of arc AB 90 degrees. We're asked to find the length. So the length of arc AB is equal to a fraction. That fraction is 90 degrees out of 360 of the circumference. Now we have to find the circumference. Since we're given the radius, I will use 2 times pi times r. My circumference is 14 pi inches. Let's calculate the fraction of circumference. This fraction can be reduced and then I can multiply and reduce. Since we were asked for an exact answer, we do not want to plug in for pi, and we do not want to round any decimals. So I'm going to leave my exact answer in terms of pi with a reduced fraction. In this case, 3.5 pi inches is also exact because I didn't have to round that decimal. But an exact answer means no rounding has occurred. Example 2. Find the length of arc AB. That's this arc. Otherwise, we would have been asked about the length of arc ACB. I need the measure of this central angle. It would be the measure of the entire circle minus the measure of that large angle. So the central angle we are working with has a measure of 100 degrees. Arc AB has a measure of 100 degrees out of 360. If I wanted to find the arc length, I would multiply that fraction by the circumference. The circumference, 2 times pi times the radius. The circumference is 10 pi meters. Fraction of 10 pi. Now we can reduce here if we would like, or we could just multiply across. I've got 1,000 pi over 360. I can divide by 10. 136 can both be divided by 4. An exact arc length would be 25 pi over 9 meters. We were asked this time for nearest hundredth. I will put 25 pi divided by 9 into my calculator and end up with 8.73 meters. Rounded to the nearest hundredth for my arc length. We'll do one more example, and it's working backwards just a little bit. We've got a pizza that is sliced into 8 equal pieces. We were given the arc length, and we want to solve for the diameter. Okay. Well, first of all, let's investigate. This is the arc length we're talking about, and we are told 8 equal pieces. So if I take the entire circle, 360 degrees, and divide by 8, we are talking about a 45-degree central angle, or a 45-degree measure of the arc. We want to find the diameter. This might be a case where it's easier to use the proportion, where I say 45 degrees out of the entire circle is equal to the arc length out of the entire circumference. Let's solve for circumference. I would, in order to solve, cross multiply and divide. So I'd put some values into my calculator, cross multiply and divide, and I would get 50.24. Multiply 360 times 6.28, and then divide by 45. We were asked for the diameter. Circumference is pi times the diameter. So now if I divide by pi, I will know that, again, use the pi button for best accuracy. I will know that the diameter of the pizza is approximately 16 inches.